Hey guys, today I wanted to showcase a brand new amazing mod for EU4 called Kokoland Nation. It was created by our longtime Discord member Robert, who's been working on this mod for like the last 3 months I believe, learning EU4, modding from scratch as he went. And in the end, we've now got this amazing Cocoland mod with custom ideas, a giant mission tree, a ton of new events and formable nations. And I've been streaming this on Twitch for the last like 2 weeks, having a time of my life. It was really a blast. So if you want to learn more about it, if you want to learn how to get this mod and play it yourself, let's just jump in. I'll show you some details. So when you start as a 3-province miner down here at the south of HRE, a border with Austria, who are your ancient rivals, you know? Historical rival right there. So you start with the capital Celia, which is where I'm streaming from. That's why Kokoland is here. You got some provinces over here. As you can see, Robert has made some new provinces over here just to make this more interesting. And of course, you have your big old enemies, Celia over here, controlling outer Celia as it is. And this is Celia, you know, the main capital. So you are, right from the start, you are between big nations, between big old nations. Austria up here, you have Croatia, who is part of Hungary, and your other potential targets are Rijeka, Celia, or Celia over here, and Trieste, right? Alas, you're not part of the HRE, and they are, and that could be a big problem. So start could be kind of problematic, but luckily for us, Robert has put in a lot of work on custom ideas and stuff. So first and foremost, you know, our ideas start us with extra morale of armies, plus diplomatic reputation, and later on we get yearly army tradition decay. Also, all of these are custom. All the text over here is big flavor, like Patreon support, The Boys, growing popularity, introduction of new content, excellent community, new frontiers, and starting streaming. And all of these give you some good bonuses, especially over here. The Boys give you extra morale of armies, which is big. You get even more diplomatic reputation over here, which is again big if you want to be more peaceful and, you know, talk to people. And right from the start, you know, because you would be thinking, how do I go as a nation that is out of HRE, how do I go to war with Outer Italia, which is one of your first targets? Well, you do start with a national decision, which allows you to claim lands of Outer Italia. So you can start with this, and this gives you new events that's gonna spiral slowly but surely into war, where Austria is not gonna interfere because, you know, this is you're not gonna be the big bad boy. And without spoiling too much, let's take a look at this giant mission tree. And later on, it's gonna get even bigger. So right from the start, you have missions like this. Questions of membership. Do we side with the Empire or do we side against the Empire? Now, spoiler alert, in my playthrough on Twitch, we sided with the Empire. We joined the Empire because I thought it's going to be easier that way to conquer lands from the Empire. And very soon we also became the Emperor, but more about that later on. This also gives you missions to start connecting your long-time places like the Gord's Castle over here and unite Cocoland. And if we look back into the decisions, we have form Greater Cocolandia. So this is a formable nation where you see you need to have the whole Croatia, you have to have a lot of Venetian lands and some Austrian lands as well, so you think that's not very easy. But with the missions, how they guide you where you need to go, it slowly starts to make sense. Now I've loaded a bit later on down the line, and you see we control a bit more. Cocoland is a bit stronger, and over here is Styria. Now, this was a really big fight that brought me down to quite a few loans, you can say, when we did this. But basically, there is an event chain leading you to start supporting Styria's independence. And they would start with these 4 provinces in Austria, right? Now, Styria, you can support them with manpower and some generals and such. They will get a very good general, as you can see here. They have a 3-star general early on. And this is just as we won our war. But basically the war pits you, Styria, and you against Austria. It's just the two of you, and Styria is leading this. So it's a really tough fight. Now, luckily, with our early morale and all that stuff, I managed to fight off Austria by getting a lot of mercs and a lot of that. So we went deep into loans, basically. But in the end, I won, like, numbers, we were 1-3 versus Austria and their allies. But if you get your war score up to 95%, which I did by sieging all of their stuff, and Styria did help there with their 5 siege general, which was very lucky. We got to 95, and at that point, the war just concludes itself. And right now, if we unpause over here, we would get an event where Styria becomes our march. Styria seeks protection, Styria becomes our march, and you are now set to go onwards to glory, really. But of course, that's not where we end, you know. The biggest thing we did was trying to get trade from Venice early on, and that's what we did. We fought Venice. We fought Venice quite a few times to eventually take lands from them. And at this point, we were the Holy Roman Emperor, and a lot of our friends were voting for us. And at this point, we had Stag the First, the Presidente, El Presidente, who managed to pay all of the loans. He was the man, the myth, the legend, who managed to do it. Unfortunately, he died early on, and then Relene, his daughter, was the emperor for like 70 years after that. Now, all of these names are names of people who are active on my Twitch channel, on my Discord, so a lot of these are, you know, basically the boys, as it is. And as the time went on, we came to the most important mission out there, the Greater Cocolandia. We were the Greater Cocolandia now, but as you can see, we are now at war with the Autobro. And look at all of the boys on our side. So, the way this looks, if you look at it, ignore Castile, but this is everything that was on my side as we went to remove Kebab. Now you think, how did you possibly get to that? Now, there's been some changes since we did this. Robert has done some fixing of this, but basically how it worked is there was a mission. There was a mission called Everything is Lost, and this one, once you click it, it leads to war with Ottomans. It leads to second conquest of Varna, or second crusade of Varna. Now, at that point, one would not know this before, but at that point, every HRE nation that is in this region, in this South Germany region, and anybody else that might be on the Balkans, if they have at least 50 opinion of you, they will form this crusade against the Ottomans and join you. Now, at this point, all of these joined into an alliance with me, because that means we were 16 over our relationship. Like, if you look over here, 22 out of 6. Yeah, all of these joined. Now, Robert has fixed this, that this is now forms a coalition, because otherwise it was very painful. But then we went to war with the Ottomans. It was show superiority war, which meant we had to really win this. We had to do it with numbers. And we had the numbers. And we slowly but surely easily occupied all of this. And luckily for us, as it has been a thing many times, Mamluks declared war on Medina. Ottomans were allied with Medina. And Mamluks took the brunt of this. Otherwise, Poland did a lot of fighting for us. Unfortunately, they did not have Lithuania there anymore. But we done many things to Ottomans in this war. And in the end, this is how it looked like. Greater Cocolandia expanded down here. Byzantium popped up again. Athens, Epirus, Albania, Achaia, Macedonia, Bulgaria. Serbia was back. Oh, it looks like Polish already took some Bulgaria again over here. Which led to eventually us breaking alliance with Poland and taking more of this. Now, since we were Greater Cocolandia, That meant we had even more missions. Each time you go bigger and better, you get more missions over here. As you can see, we have Kenshi Raiders and such down here. Interesting, very interesting missions. But most importantly, after your Greater Cocolandia, you can now proclaim the first Cocoland Empire once you take all of these lands down here. I'm gonna zoom in so you guys can see. But all of that needs to be ours, or well, almost all of that, to proclaim the empire. And at that point, of course, we want to leave the HRE, which, let's see, at this point we were still the emperor. I will show you when that kind of stopped being the case. But before we do, let's take a look at some government reforms, because I have not touched that. Robert has made new reforms for us over here. We start as El Presidente. That's our first starting thing. And then as you go further on, you have things like strengthen admin positions, create Hall of Fame, and siphon power from elites. So all of these are based on the things that we have on our Discord, on our Twitch, all kinds of stuff. Like over here we have oversee from bots, re-establish community board, we have cast of patrons, of course for the Patreon supporters, we have collab committee office, we have admin, oligarchy, dictate, and so on and so forth. You know, eventually at the end we have the worldwide fan base, because we all know that I am the most known YouTuber slash streamer in the world. It is known, so that is the thing. And over here, in 1551, we get to, one could say, quite a big war over here. This was the first coalition war against us. So we have been expanding down here, keeping my aggressive expansion in check until our allies, former allies, Palatinate, gave us these two provinces. And these two provinces triggered some really nasty shit over here, where eventually Savoy declared on us. Savoy was allied with my rival France, and a bunch of these coalition members also joined in. Hungary was part of the coalition, but we had truce with them, and same with some more nations over here. But in the end, this was quite a big war, because at this point, they had more numbers than we did. Especially a lot more cannons, because our big old ally Spain, who just ate Aragon, were still using spears, while us and all the Italian nations down here were already rocking muskets. So that was pretty bad, but in the end, we won this war as well. This is the time where Milan was already a junior partner of Greater Cocolandia, and you think, how you do this? Early on, you get some missions to ally with Milan, and eventually, you get to, I have no idea where that mission is. Ah, there we go, formalize the union. Now this one was bugged for us for quite a while, because it required, it says here Milan trust is at least 75, but the game, the way it was coded, the game wanted us to trust Milan up to 75. Robert later changed on that, because of course Milan trust is like 100% towards us. So we finally managed to do that. So after we won this war, I took a lot of stuff over here. We went up to the gold provinces here, gave Pavia back to Milan, you know, our big boys, and Styria was still a very nice march there. The new Emperor of Bohemia had some issues, because over here, we were now Orthodox. So eventually, you get a chance to switch your religion. You could go Reformed, Protestant, stay Catholic, which we were required if we wanted to still be the emperor, but Twitch chat voted, go Orthodox. So we went Orthodox. That caused, of course, certain issues, but gave us a new ally in Byzantium, and eventually also Muscovy, which hasn't happened here yet, but eventually. So we were now Orthodox, just clawing our way in here into all the Catholics and Protestants and working on our way up and just trying to do our best fighting all of these Italian troops that had more numbers than we did, but eventually we won. And all that leads us to the last formable nation of Cocoland Empire. You'll love to see it. There it is. The flag is also beautiful. I think my boys are still up here in Poland, since that's where we were fighting. You got a lot of K's in this flag now. It's quite pretty. And we are the Empire. We are an empire down here. This is of course all of our land. We're not part of the HRE for a while now. Over here, of course, we are allied with Russia, who is now Russia, because you know there's not that many Orthodox nations. That's why we were allied with Byzantium, for whom we won a big war against the Ottomans, and then they didn't give us our one claim, which was Corfu. They didn't, which means that the next stream, Constantinople is ours and Byzantium burns for that betrayal, but more about that later. Now, there it is, the last formable nation, which gives you even more missions to go through. Even more. Look at this. It basically sends you down here to Tunis. It makes you be able to claim some lands down here, get more islands. I think even sends you over here. So basically, the missions are giant and enormous, and there is a lot of stuff there. So, really, for those of you who like a challenge early on and then like to play with something that, you know, slowly, in a way that makes sense, send you forward and onwards to glory, this is really a good mod for you. Now, Robert also created a separate mod called Monuments, Cocoland Monuments, and then you have some, let's see, separate monuments over here. As you can see, El Presidente's Palace, which is basically my gaming desk over here. So pictures of events and all that stuff is all the things that I post on Discord, like pictures when I go into the forest, pictures of my cats, the meme review that has been trolling me a lot. All kinds of stuff we do on Discord and Twitch, you get to see in here. It's a fun mod for those of you who are part of my community and might like EU4. It's very personalized in that way. And there you go. There's the Cocoland Empire. We're gonna go onwards to glory. As I mentioned earlier, you know, we are Orthodox now, but Robert is now making a new, like, update for the future, which wouldn't work with an already saved game, but for the future, is gonna create the Church of Steve. Because we all know that all the animals need to be named Steve, so it will only make sense that we are the cult of Steve, or the Church of Steve, or whatever we have. So separate religion that might pop up here with certain events and all that stuff, as we are part of the HRE still, and the Reformation happens. Now there's just one more thing to mention over here. If you want to have this mod, if you want to play with it, just jump on my Discord, the link is down in the description, and go into the game mods. This is gonna be a pinned message over here. If you look into pins, it's gonna be over here, and you can click on it and see over here, basically, Robert and the download links to his mod, and all the download guide, and all the basically instructions on how to get this going, how to install it for yourself. It's not on Steam. It's manual download, and this is how it's gonna do it. This is how it happens. So check it out if you want to play with it. It's all here. You can play with it and hopefully enjoy it. And I've been talking to Robert. Maybe in the future he's gonna also do a backwards conversion into Crusader Kings 3. So we could do a playthrough of that as well, starting with as the history is, our first Cocoland leader, Coco the Slacker. That's how it is. In any case, thank you everybody for being here. I hope you enjoyed this preview of Neo Europa Universalis 4 mod called Cocoland Nation, and I hope you're gonna check it out. Otherwise, come see me on Twitch, where I stream every day, Monday to Friday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. CEST. That is Central European Summertime, and I'm playing this. I'll be playing it for like a couple more days before we switch to another game. So if you missed that, you can also check the VODs from the previous days just to see how it works, and maybe see me be slightly upset at some things that the AI does to me. But eventually, Cocoland prevails. Thank you everybody for watching, and onwards to glory.